Hey everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology. I hope that you're all doing well. Today we are going to talk about the struggle of waiting for your twin and when you feel sick and tired of waiting. Before we get into the video, I just want to mention that last weekend I posted a new SRT series on Vimeo. This one is Healing the Divine Masculine. So this is a series of 5 videos focused on the masculine energy. The things that we're clearing are masculine blocks to union, masculine blocks to purpose, resentment of God, blocks to the heart, and inability to receive love. These are all masculine patterns, and you may recognize if you're the feminine that your twin is holding some of those patterns. What you may not recognize is that you also have those patterns in you. So clearing them with SRT helps clear them of your own inner masculine, which in turn can support your twin in clearing those programs as well. There's some other videos on Vimeo as well, a series on communication. There's a video, Clear Stuck Energy in Your Union. There's also an activation for Divine Union. My activation for Divine Union has been out there for a while, but if you are someone that struggles with feeling inner union, that struggles with finding that energy of your twin within you so that you're not stuck in separation consciousness, then that might be something that can help you, as well as all the free meditations and SRT clearings that I have here on this channel. Okay, so let's start talking about waiting. One of the most common things I hear from people on the twin flame journey is I'm so tired of waiting, which is usually followed with I'm moving on because my twin is hopeless or something similar. Let's take a look at what is really behind the concept of waiting. First of all, waiting is a program. It's a concept connected to time, and it only exists within lower realities like Earth that function within a linear time experience. You can clear the program of waiting and will need to in order to raise your consciousness above these lower frequencies. I did create an SRT clearing on waiting that I will post tomorrow that is a companion to this video. But you also need to clear linear time if you plan on ascending. Sure, living on Earth means that we sometimes follow a clock in order to coordinate meetings and activities with others. But more and more, you will need to break through the barriers of linear time, especially if you want to master the process of manifestation, which does not occur on schedules constructed by the logical mind, but through the harmonious joining and interaction of many different fields of energy. The truth is, you aren't supposed to be waiting. You're supposed to be being. Living in the moment is key to stepping out of lower frequencies and raising your consciousness. If you're feeling frustrated with waiting, you're viewing the situation through ego's perspective. The ego wants things now or delivered by the schedule of a clock. And when it doesn't happen on time, the ego goes into various stories it has concocted related to victimhood. This is really key to understanding how to move out of waiting. If you give too much energy to thoughts of victimization, you will slide back into lower consciousness and create more distress for yourself. Instead, you want to remain in a vibration of peace. To reach that state, focus on being. Look around you. What can you find to be happy about right this second? Maybe it's sunshine, a flower, your pet, a song, the person next to you. Happiness is right there all around you now, so put aside any idea of waiting. When you believe you have to wait for happiness through something that is outside of yourself, you will indeed feel frustrated and stuck. Again, this is believing yourself to be victimized by someone or something that you have no control over. you always are in control of your own thoughts and emotions. The feeling of waiting for the twin flame is always precipitated by negative feelings you are experiencing regarding your person, usually feelings of disappointment and insecurity. So instead of giving into those feelings and allowing negative energy to take you further away from inner union and peace, seek within yourself for why you are having those feelings, and then clear the negative energy. The quicker you can clear the negative thoughts, the less disruption you will feel in your emotional state, and the quicker you will return to being in inner union. Do you understand what I mean by inner union? Twin flames, listen to me. You need to recognize these two states of consciousness: separation consciousness and inner union, and know which one you are in at any given time. When you are waiting, what state of consciousness are you in? If you said separation consciousness, you'd be right. Inner union will always precede outer union. For how can discord and fear create attraction between two people? Indeed, it creates repulsion, as many of you know firsthand. When you go into the frustration of waiting, you have fallen into fear and discord. Know that when you start going into the old story of, I'm not going to sit around waiting for this anymore, what has really happened is ego has become afraid that this person is never going to show up for you. For some of you, you have deeply ingrained stories related to past experiences of unfulfilled expectations that led to hurt. In order to feel safe, you're pushing away any possibility that you might feel let down again. You're creating a barrier of protection. You have exited your heart and gone into your mind. It's a self protection mechanism. What I see through working with twin flames every day are the barriers that are put up in protection. For example, another pattern that is very connected to waiting is to qualify your love with a time frame. Well, I'll wait for this person for 1 year, but if my twin doesn't come by then, I'm moving on. This is conditioned love, is it not? You see, there's a lot of projection in the program of waiting. You're angry and blaming the other for creating separation when you yourself are creating separation through the thought pattern you are stuck in. You believe yourself to be loving the other unconditionally, while at the same time you are putting conditions on your love by requiring it to happen within your ego's time frame. You're projecting onto your twin something that you yourself are not fulfilling at the moment. You see them as rejecting you, while you are finding ways to reject them by creating these protective barriers. I know it's not an easy journey. Have compassion for yourself. There are times when you will fall into lower consciousness. It's a process of growth that doesn't follow linear time, but takes the shape of a spiral, always moving in and out of different states. Can you have compassion for yourself for having to navigate through this very difficult journey? Good. Now, can you extend that compassion to your twin flame instead of judging them? Can you connect to the idea that your twin might also be doing the best that they can to avoid separation consciousness and come into inner union, but sometimes they fail? Can you reconcile the fact that your twin is also struggling with inner fears, insecurity, and the struggle of trying to understand a connection that they have never experienced before? Can you connect with the idea that you don't know the totality of their experience, as they don't know the totality of your experience? So it might be better to judge less and have more compassion. Wouldn't you want others to extend that to you? When someone says to me, I'm tired of waiting on this journey. I usually ask them, well, what are you waiting for? They usually answer, well, for a relationship or love or that very loaded word, union. Okay, I say, what amazing person are you passing up right now that wants to be with you, but you're rejecting because you feel stuck with your twin? The answer is almost always no one, but occasionally it might be, well, this person likes me, but I'm not really interested in them. You see, you're blaming your twin again for something that is not their fault. Sure, they aren't showing up for you in a way that meets your expectation, but they're not stopping you from being in another relationship. That's a projection. In fact, it's not uncommon for one twin to leave the situation totally because they feel like they might unfairly be keeping you from meeting someone else while they are unable to fully commit to you. Are you really waiting for your twin? Because if someone amazing showed up that swept you off your feet, someone you couldn't resist because you felt the same way for them as you do for your twin, you'd probably move on, wouldn't you? What's really going on is no one is showing up that's better or that you love more, and that is what's making you feel stuck. What you need to know is that stuck feeling often shows up when you're transitioning between realities because you're sort of in an in between two worlds and it feels very still and insecure. This leads me to another thing that's often talked about, the sensation that you just can't move on with anyone else. Stop and think about that for a moment. What is that feeling about? For the vast majority of you, it's love, a deep, abiding love that seems impossible to fill with anyone else but that one person. That feeling can cause frustration because it can leave you feeling in limbo again, not able to be with anyone else and not able to be with the one that your heart really desires. What are you to do then? Well, you have two choices. One option is you can rail against the feelings and allow yourself to be bitter and angry. You can allow the frustration to take over to the point where your ego has complete control so that you feel like a victim to the whole twin flame journey and the injustice of it all. You'll see a lot of people on this path like this. They are the ones telling you how stupid you are for waiting for something that will never come. They will laugh at you for believing in an illusion, a fairy tale, and they can pull a lot of people off the path because of their anger. You can choose that if you want to, but I've found resistance to the situation doesn't solve anything and only creates bitterness. I mean, if you could move on, most of you probably would have by now. So there's something else, something deeper going on that you just can't keep resisting. I believe it's better to accept what feelings are there right now so that they don't get repressed. This is why we live in the moment. My advice to people is always focus on what is in front of you and not the past or the future. It's the only way to navigate through this sanely. If the feelings for your twin are so strong you aren't interested in anyone else, then accept that and use the power of that love to keep you in a positive vibration. Perhaps, just perhaps, there's a reason why you aren't interested in someone else. It could be that you need to stay focused on that one person. It could be that your inner guidance is telling you to trust the situation. You could be receiving guidance to appreciate life on your own for a while. You might be learning to overcome separation consciousness by experiencing separation so that you can come to the realization that it's all just an illusion. You might be being tested on what it is you really want. Do you want to settle for less or will you keep going? I've worked with a lot of twins, and I can see that some twins find themselves very dedicated to their twin and prefer to stay alone, and others seem to have a lot of people that they have karma with or that they choose to experience connection with outside of their twins. I always try not to judge what others are doing. I will say this though. If you find that it's easy to forget about your twin and move on with someone else, they probably either aren't your twin or you're in denial and running away from them. Because even those twins I know that choose to have experiences with others almost always still prioritize the love they have for their twin and see the other person has strictly a chance to grow and evolve. Very often, we're either choosing to be alone or spiritually guided to be alone because the focus needs to be on ascension. One of the things that happens when that program of waiting comes up is we put off living. Are you putting things off that you want to do because you want to do that with your twin? On one hand, there could be this inner knowing that you will do those things with your twin. But on the other hand, you have to be careful because you might be getting inner guidance to do something that you just keep putting off because you're unsure about doing it alone. It might even be something that would help you on your journey. So watch out for how you might be putting off a lot of things because of some expectation of the future that will have the effect of creating resentment towards your twin because you're putting your own life on hold and projecting that onto them. When it comes to not being in a relationship, it's usually not the fault of the twin, but more a function of the spiritual journey itself. The spiritual journey is very inwardly focused. You're not usually going out much. You aren't socializing as much. You feel misunderstood by most people. If you're a twin flame, then this can feel even more isolating because most people won't understand the twin flame phenomenon, but will tell you to just get over it and move on. Should you blame the twin flame journey for this? No, that would be stepping back into victimization. You aren't a victim because your soul must have chosen this experience or you wouldn't be having it. Could it be that not being in a relationship is the right thing for you at the moment? We often forget that being in a relationship is very time consuming, especially if you're trying to follow new earth relationship templates. Because there's so much breaking of old patterns and growth that occurs, it can be very challenging and needs much time devoted to it. Wouldn't it be easier to clear a lot of those templates prior to coming into a relationship with another person so that it's much smoother? Those who are angry about the twin flame journey like to say, but we live in a 3D reality, so I need a 3D relationship. That's fine if you want to choose to live in the 3D reality 100% of the time, but know that that's not compatible with an ascension journey. I choose to live in a multi-dimensional reality. Yeah, when I need to access 3D reality for things like setting appointments, paying bills, and the like, I can. But I try to stay in higher dimensional realities most of the time, which only means I'm trying to stay out of ego, polarization, negativity, victimization, and most importantly, separation consciousness. Your 3D self may feel it needs a relationship, but your higher self knows that this is all just an illusion, anyways. Something that often shows up when I'm doing twin flame readings is that both people need to put their attention elsewhere for the time being. The focus might be on breaking some old patterns or trying to break free of karmic relationships. It might be building a strong foundation for the physical union or achieving goals you agreed to reach separately before the physical union will occur. When you're in inner union and just being, you can surrender time and know that being together is a foregone conclusion that will manifest at any moment. Indeed, the more you hold the vibration that you are together and that you are one, the more opportunities open up to manifest it. You'd probably have no problem waiting for union if you knew when it would occur. Could you wait another month? Could you wait another year? Could you wait another 5 years if you knew that being together was a foregone conclusion? I think you could easily do that. Many of you already have been doing it, even if, yes, you've struggled with the waiting and the patience and the frustration. So, another layer here is trust. Because if you knew something that your mind could grasp onto, you'd be fine. What I mean by that, if you knew when union was going to happen, you would not have a problem waiting. But that's not the ascension journey. Earth has had enough of the mind driving the ship. It's time for the heart to drive this ship. I posted a video a couple days ago called Stop Denying the Connection and Follow Your Heart. It triggered some people because they're living in their mind and the mind is denying what it can't organize into a tidy little process that it can feel safe in knowing. In the heart, there is freedom. In the heart, there is love without the need to have everything all organized and laid out, neat and tidy. In the heart, there is inner union, and in the mind, there is separation. At least for now, anyways. That is actually shifting right now as our masculine energy is healing and trying to align their mind with their heart. And that's why I posted that video about stop denying. It wasn't because I want people to stay stuck. It's because I want you all to feel unstuck, to feel free, and to feel in a state of peace and trust. The biggest stumbling block on the twin flame journey is trust. Almost everything you struggle with, including waiting, is tied closely to trust. And that is why a deep connection with God is necessary. We have to rebuild our trust in God. I like to tell people if you can't trust your twin, then trust God. Know that God wants the very best for you and is never punishing you, only trying to align you with your highest desires. If you want to master not just the twin flame journey, but spiritual truth itself, get used to being in a state of not knowing. Not even psychics can give you all the answers because some things aren't meant to be answered. They are meant to organically evolve. And the more that you think you know the answers, the more you just get in your own way. Learn how to be free of knowing. Change your expectations from, they must do this for me by this time or else, into, what magic is waiting around the corner for me today? In other words, create positive expectations that build excitement and a trust in God, rather than negative expectations that have too many attachments to specific scenarios. Another reason twins might find themselves waiting for a relationship is because codependency has been a strong pattern for the soul and needs to be broken. When there's another person around, it's very easy to fall into the old patterns of distorted and broken relationships based on trying to receive wholeness through another rather than finding that wholeness within yourself. The very nature of the twin flame intensifies the desire to find wholeness through the other person. Yet, the polarization of the twin will always negatively distort that pattern and destroy the relationship unless wholeness comes from within. In other words, when union is found within instead of separation, when inner union is mastered, then a physical relationship can be built that has a strong enough foundation to withstand the challenges of creating new earth templated love. I think this is another type of misinformation about the twin because you always hear people criticizing the twin journey, saying you can't find wholeness through another person, as if twin flames don't know that. We, of all people, know that we have to find wholeness within ourselves. Sure, maybe on the first couple years of the journey, we might be seeking that piece of ourselves in the other person. But the most important spiritual growth that twins do is that figuring out of I can't put the pressure on that person to make me whole. Because when I try to do that, I push that person away. And you know what? Trust me, being in a physical relationship isn't the end of the journey. There is no end. A physical relationship doesn't equal union. We haven't fully anchored the union of the masculine and feminine energies on earth yet. So, how can we be in a true spiritual union? People are in varying degrees of connection with each other, but a perfect union? No, I don't think so. Not quite yet. They might be close, but we have to have the energies here available to us first. Also, being in a physical relationship doesn't mean separation can't show up again, and it often does. It's a fallacy to believe that once you have a physical connection again with your twin, that life is perfect. It's just a different series of tests, and sometimes those tests trigger separation again. So instead, focus on creating a consciousness of union because that's what's going to be what serves you the most. Your person is there with you right now. They aren't running from you. In many other dimensions, you are having the physical relationship that you desire. There is a connection between the two of you that is never broken. It's beyond time and space. It's eternal and it's holy. Your ego will try to break the connection many, many times through the journey, but it can't succeed because this connection is too powerful. That's the magic of the twin flame journey, and that's how it forces you to grow. You aren't waiting because it's there with you all along. The truth is, you aren't really waiting for your twin. You're waiting for a shift within yourself. You're waiting for a shift to take you out of linear time. You're waiting for a shift to take you out of ego expectations and ideas of love. You're waiting to shift out of old patterns and behaviors and programs. You're waiting to shift out of old relationship templates and into what true, unconditional love really is. When that shift happens, you'll be free. But even this doesn't need to be waited on because it can happen now if you're just willing to release separation consciousness and step into inner union where you can feel safe in oneness and just be unattached to time, free of negativity, and enjoying the peace, love, and inner union that already exists within your heart. I hope this video gave you some new perspective on looking at that energy of waiting so that you don't let that sabotage your whole spiritual journey. If you would like to work with me, I'll put my link below to my website. If you would like to make a donation in exchange for my videos, those are always greatly appreciated, and I'll put my PayPal link below. And until next time, I'm sending you all a lot of love.